Good evening, guys. Ryan here alongside Drew. We are Michigan Storm Chasers, and this is going to be a severe weather briefing for technically tonight, mainly tomorrow, and also taking a peek at Thursday. Let's go ahead and roll into this. Before we start, though, I would like to get an audio check here. Go ahead and say something, Drew.
Test. Test. Can you guys hear me? Test.
Okay, let us know in the comments if that's good or if you need to be adjusted. Let us know. We'll go ahead and get that sorted out before we get too deep into this briefing. Got Kelly in here, Trisha, Julie, Shannon, Christian. What's up, guys? Good to see you in here. Fun times. Sarah says yes. Awesome. We'll wait for another couple people. Yes. Okay, good. Yes, yes. Okay, good. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the forecast here, guys. Starting with tonight. Yes, tonight we do have a risk technically for severe weather per the SPC up in the western part of the UP. Places like Ironwood and Houghton, as well as Iron Mountain, dark green colored area. Further to the east, in the light green color, general thunderstorms are expected, but no severe weather is expected. The hazard today is damaging wind, 5 to a 14% chance per the SPC. In the west part of the UP there in that brown color. There is currently a very small sliver of, I believe it's Gogebic County. I'm probably mistaken on that one, but near Ironwood, there's a very small sliver of hail risk over there by Ironwood, and there is not any risk currently in the state for anything tornadic tonight. Now, let's go ahead and take a peek at the model. I kept saying like technically because on the models and on radar currently, there's not much out there. There really is not much to talk about tonight. Here's a future forecast. We're going to run this through. This is at 7 o'clock. Here's 8 o'clock, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. There's midnight. We're dry. We get to the overnight hours, though, close to 1, 2, 3, and we're going to pause it right here about 5 in the morning. We're going to notice a couple of storms up there by the Isle Royale that could be strong in nature. Overall, though, as these arrive close to that sunrise 5, 6, 7 a.m. time frame Eastern, those may be strong, small hail, perhaps sub-severe gusty winds. A lot of rain, probably lightning, your main risks there, but severe weather is not expected with this. We're going to call it round 1 for your very early Wednesday morning. So, summarizing that, tonight should be dry until we get close to sunrise Wednesday. Let's go ahead and talk about Wednesday's risk. All right, let's go ahead and X out all of these. Here is Wednesday's risk. Per the SPC, almost the entire UP is in a slight risk for severe weather, except portions of the Keweenaw Peninsula up there by the Houghton area. Otherwise, you are in a slight risk. Now, up there in the Keweenaw Peninsula and also further south toward Traverse City, Gaylord, and Rogers City, we do have a marginal risk in effect. That is level 1 out of 5, 5 being the worst, 1 being the lowest risk. Level 1 in dark green, level 2 in yellow, and again, the light green color, call it level 0, general thunderstorms expected down that direction. Now, hazards tomorrow are a bit more concerning. Damaging wind is primary in the yellow portion. It is a 15 to 29% chance of damaging winds anywhere within 25 miles, anywhere within that yellow zone. So example would be Marquette. You have a 15 to a 29% chance of seeing a damaging wind gust within 25 miles of you. In the brown color, it's a 5 to 14% chance within 25 miles, so a low-end risk, but it's still a risk to take seriously and keep an eye out as we move toward the afternoon tomorrow. Now, hail is not currently listed as a concern. Would not be shocked to see a few small hail reports like P, maybe penny at most, but severe hail is unlikely tomorrow. Not impossible, but unlikely. It's less than 5% here on the latest SPC forecast. And last but not least, there is a risk tomorrow for tornadoes in the the west and central Upper Peninsula by the Ironwood to Marquette over toward Escanaba areas. We have a 2 to 4% risk for a tornado within 25 miles in the green color. Over here in that red-brown color is a 5 to 9% chance over toward the Ironwood area. So keep that in mind. We have a little bit higher risk, especially toward that Wisconsin border area for some rotation tomorrow. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the models. This is going to flip back here to the latest afternoon run of the HRRR. Here is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We may have showers and storms ongoing to start your day Wednesday up there. Those, again, should not be severe. They may be on the stronger side, but they shouldn't be severe. That will expected to be clearing out by around that noon time frame. So here's 11, there's noon. Notice how the rain is now, for the most part, exited the UP. Could have a couple showers up there by Manistee toward the afternoon hours on Wednesday. As we move toward the afternoon 3, here's 4 p.m. That is our main concern for severe weather in the UP tomorrow afternoon. This is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. A pretty potent line being shown here, pushing into the western part of the UP. Let's go to 5 p.m. Let's go to 6 p.m. Let's go to 7 p.m. Let's go to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and 10 p.m. So that's your main time frame right there, 3 p.m. or so to around that 10 p.m. time frame. As this line progresses and pushes across the Upper Peninsula, it should clear within about 6 or 7 hours. And after that, we should be winding down around that 10, 11 o'clock time frame with just general thunderstorms and rain showers left over. But this is one model. Let's go ahead and take a peek at our secondary model, the RRFS. This is another model we like to pair with and kind of get a better idea of what models are kind of saying, what the idea is. Similar to the HRRR, we're going to see a couple showers right around the 4 to 5 a.m. time frame tonight/tomorrow morning. This is at 4 a.m. Here's 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and here's 8 a.m. A little bit drier on this side of the model versus the last model we looked at. But similar pattern in the afternoon hours here. Let's go fast forward this to around that 1, 2, and 3 p.m. time frame. There's that line being shown, a bit more potent on this model, around that 3 p.m. time frame. So both models are in agreement that we're going to have a line pushing into the western UP right around that 3-ish p.m. Eastern time frame. And that's going to produce damaging wind, could produce damaging wind as well as a few tornadoes as that pushes across the state. Highest risk, again, western part of the UP here as this line first enters. But with this being like a bow echo, like a little bit of a bow and arrow shape to it, that is very typical for wind damage and some spin up tornadoes within that line somewhere. So our concern is there, but there's a caveat. If we have a messier solution here, for example, go pop this off the screen, there we go. If we have a messier solution in the morning, like for example, we see a lot of rain showers and storms going on between like the 8 a.m. to about noon time frame, that may not allow us to destabilize. The air needs to destabilize. You need to build humid, moist, unstable air up there to support and fuel these storms. If we have a lot of rain, a lot of cloud cover up there, that's not going to happen. So that may lower the afternoon threat in the UP for the afternoon. But if we clear out, as we expect to clear out, and we have sunshine, we can build some moisture, some stability up there. At that point, the afternoon concern starts going up. That's your caveat to watch tomorrow. In the meantime, the risk is there for the entirety of the UP as that line pushes across the state. Again, damaging winds and a tornado or two as it does so will be the main hazards. We'll be live tracking it all afternoon tomorrow. We'll also be up just in case around that 5 a.m. time frame if those first storms go severe, just in case. We're always on watch here at MSC. But overall, that is your risk for Wednesday. And as we move into the overnight hours of Wednesday, go and fast forward this again. We stopped at 10 o'clock or so. Let's go to 11 o'clock, midnight. This is now Thursday morning. Those will continue to push across northern lower, so perhaps very low chance for a severe storm up there by the Gaylord area as it does so, but should not be severe as that pushes across. And then a secondary risk will develop Thursday afternoon. We're not going to touch on this too much in detail, but the entirety of the Lower Peninsula right now is in a marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5 for severe weather. The UP does not have that risk. It's just a general thunderstorm risk up there. So the risk kind of shifts further south for most of the population here in Michigan for that Thursday time frame. Would not be shocked to see this upgraded here in the next couple of days as we push closer to Thursday. Right now, it appears same hazards would apply, damaging winds because the overall pattern would support bow echoes and line segments. Although with those bow echoes and line segments, if that does come to fruition, that also has a low chance for a tornado as well. So damaging winds, perhaps a tornado possible on Thursday. But Thursday is dependent on how Wednesday plays out. Let's take it a day at a time. Let's focus on Thursday after we get through the bulk of the weather tomorrow. We'll probably do another briefing if we can tomorrow evening, as well as a forecast out for you guys tomorrow on how your Thursday is looking. But overall, put in the back of your mind, Thursday is going to be a day to watch for potential severe weather across much of the Lower Peninsula. Outside of severe weather, we have heat index on Thursday to talk about. If you want cool weather, drive north. The UP solidly in the 70s up there. But if you are in the LP, the Lower Peninsula, you're going to be in the mid to upper 90s. And if you're really lucky, down by the Detroit area, your heat index is going to push triple digits close to 105. So that's very close to extreme heat warning criteria there. But likely advisories incoming for the heat for your Thursday. You guys should be taking that seriously. Make sure you guys staying hydrated and making sure you're taking your precautions if you work in the elements, whether factories, outdoors, etc. Be prepared. Thursday is going to be a hot one across much of Lower Michigan. Whew. Did I miss anything, Drew?
No, I think you covered the majority of it. A lot to talk about this week. For one, the heat and humidity, as well as multiple storm chances this week. We'll take it, as Ryan mentioned, one day at a time with these storm chances. We'll first, kind of tackle in with Wednesday. Wednesday already has a lot of uncertainty, as Ryan mentioned, just with how much convection we'll have during the morning. And that will play out in how the severe risk plays out for the afternoon for the UP. And then on top of that, that plays out on how Thursday could play out. So lots to look at overall for really the next few days here across Michigan.
Yep. And just to take a note on that, the heat index is not the air temperature. The heat index is the air temperature plus your humidity and moisture combined. It's like a real feel. Think of it like a wind chill, but in the summertime. It's what your body perceives the temperature to be. So while the air temperature, if we switch this over here to the temperatures, you're going to notice much of the state here going to be in the mid 90s, perhaps upper 90s in some spots. But when you couple that with the humidity, the heat, or sorry, the moisture, which is right here, the dew points are going to be upper 60s and low 70s. That's going to combine to make your heat index in the low hundreds. So yes, heat index of 105 currently on the RFS model being shown anywhere from really the Tri-Cities down here through about that Lansing area, but really focusing in Lenawee, Monroe, Wayne, Washtenaw, the really suburb areas of the Detroit metro and surrounding regions are really the hottest being shown currently on the model.
And I wouldn't be shocked too eventually if we get more widespread heat weather alerts throughout the state. I believe Berrien County and Cass County, I believe, are in a heat advisory, I believe. Can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Ryan, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I was holding off on making a map because I was sure we were going to get more advisories today. I was holding off making a map, but they didn't issue those. But yes, Drew is correct. I believe it's going to be Berrien and Cass. Yep, Berrien and Cass. Heat advisory. It says heat index values 98 to 102. That's going to be in effect from 2 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, so tomorrow. The real heat comes in for Thursday, but still could get areas close to advisory criteria for tomorrow as well for your Wednesday. All right, any questions, guys, about the severe threat for tomorrow primarily? But I can take some questions as well for Thursday, although I'll preface it and say we're probably not going to talk about Thursday because we honestly don't know. Models are left field, right field, shortstop, first base, they're all over the place. So we can say there's a threat for severe weather on Thursday. Likely, yes. How large it's going to be or how widespread or isolated it's going to be, probably can't answer that until tomorrow evening.
Another thing too with tomorrow's setup is if we have a lot of morning storms and on top of line segments they'll be moving through, there could be a localized flooding risk as well. I know the National Weather Service at Marquette mentioned that as well, which definitely makes sense in my opinion. When you have training storms, you're going to have situations like that happen. So that's just another thing to be mindful about as always. And another thing too, with a lot of heat that's in place, any storms that do go up will have a lot of lightning. Usually you get a lot of lightning in storms when you have a lot of very warm dew points, very hot temperatures, very high amounts of CAPE. So that's just something to be mindful about. We might have a few storms, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, where they'll go up and maybe they won't be severe right away, but they're going to have a lot of lightning. So that's just something to be mindful about too with any daily activities.
Michelle asks, are derechos possible Thursday? At this point, I wouldn't say yes. I don't think it's trending that way at all. How long does the heat last? Good question on that. And the answer is Thursday will be the hottest day of the week. That's for sure. pop out the good old chart here, we're going to notice we're going to drop off pretty quickly after that Thursday time frame. So if you consider 80s, low to mid 80s, perhaps upper 80s there, hot, then yes, we're going to keep the hot around. But definitely Thursday is going to be the last day with the really muggy and hot conditions. We'll kind of cool off for your Friday and Saturday for sure. But peek ahead, the first day of August there, 72. That is a trend we're going to watch here. The model's really picking up on a cool down to start our August, perhaps as cool as those low 70s. So if you're a fall lover, stay tuned. That first week of August may be for you. A little too far out to say for sure, but it's looking and trending that direction. Yeah, for tomorrow, there's really no risk for the populated areas of like Grand Rapids, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Detroit. If you look at the map here, those colors, the dark green and the yellow colors up in the Upper Peninsula and the far northern Lower Peninsula are those risks for severe weather tomorrow. Now, if you're further downstate on Thursday, the entirety of the Lower Peninsula is in a risk. Doesn't matter if you're in Detroit, Gaylord, Alpena, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Mount Pleasant, doesn't matter. You are in a risk per the SPC on Thursday. If you're in the UP on Thursday, congratulations, you have no risk besides some general thunderstorms and rain showers up there. So Thursday, I can't talk. Thursday's threat is dependent on how Wednesday, tomorrow, plays out. So it's kind of like a domino effect. We don't know how Thursday's going to look until we get through tomorrow. So we're not going to go into detail, but overall, I would expect there to be damaging winds threat as well as a potential for a low-end threat for a tornado during your Thursday time frame.
So a question here saying, is there any uncertainty with the heat on Thursday? That's one thing that's that we're pretty confident about is the heat. It's going to be hot either way. If we do get storms on Thursday, it looks as of now to be more during the late afternoon, evening time frame, and peak heating is more that mid-afternoon time frame. So we're most likely going to have temperatures that will get into the 90s across the state with heat indice values in the 100 values for lower Michigan.
Yep, and the good news though is after that Thursday time frame, we just looked at the model or the graph there. We're not seeing any heat really past that. Not going to say we're not going to get it again this year because we could. We still have August to get through. But the long term past this Thursday time frame is looking a little cooler in nature for sure. But yeah, with tomorrow's setup or with Thursday's setup, we're pretty confident in that heat sticking around there. Yeah, I mean, overall, if you think about it, I see Tom had a comment here, weak storms this summer for Detroit. If you think about this year, we've had like 2 or 3 days where we got, I think, all of our tornadoes. We had March 30th, 31st. We also had May 16th. That had like 25 or 26 tornadoes combined, I think, or even more than that. And then we had a few days with like 1 or 2 that popped up. But that's it. Our season here has been a little on the quiet side. Not going to say, like, I guess you compare it to last year, especially 2023, it's definitely on the quieter side this summer than what it has been in the previous years. But we did have a very active spring, though, to start off with. So,
yeah, this summer's been a history of pulse storms, just kind of like your pop-up storms that have a occasional downburst threat. And if we have had any systems that have moved through, the majority of the better shear and lift have stayed outside of our state, whether it's been in Wisconsin, Illinois, or Indiana. We just haven't had all 4 ingredients fully present for something widespread like we did on March 30 and May 15th, where we had very abundant amount of shear, which increased our surface-based threat, so our wind and tornado threat.
how many have we had this year? Asks Heather. That is 29. We are at 29 tornadoes in 2025. And I think over 90% of those came from two days, 2 events.
Yep.
It's crazy. So if we just took those 2 events out, we would have like what? Maybe, was it 1 or is it like 2 or 3? I think it might be just 1. Because I know we had We had the one over in Macomb County, I believe, or was it Oakland County? We had one over there.
Yeah, I think it was like Oakland County or Sanilac County. We
Yeah,
had,
like up by, I forgot the name of the city. But take
yeah.
take those 2 days away. How many other tornadoes have we had in the state? One. I can't
Uh,
I can't think of anything
I think
else.
I think we've had three. We had April 2nd this year, and
Okay.
I had that tornado. There were two
Yeah.
tornadoes around
Yeah.
the Bethel area.
Yep. So we had some down there in Branch County. So if you just take away those 2 big days, though, we're probably left with like maybe 3 tornadoes across the state, which is really crazy to think about. It just takes 1 or 2 events to make an entire year.
Another thing too that was crazy too was I think it was last week. Yeah, last week we had an MCV setup that we were talking about here for Michigan, and that didn't end up verifying that MCV stalled over Wisconsin. They got an outbreak of tornadoes. So it literally, that's just how the summer has kind of played out. We've had storms. It's just they haven't really been. We just haven't had all ingredients fully present for anything like widespread. And once again, Wednesday could be something where we could have that wind and tornado threat. Thursday is just like Ryan mentioned. There's just a lot of uncertainties based on how it could play out, just based on how we have to rely on how Wednesday plays out. And on top of that, just uncertainties on strength of cold front and a variety of other things. So
A lot to figure
we
out.
definitely, yeah,
These, we can give you an educated guess, but it'd kind of be unwise to do so just because basic knowledge of meteorology will tell you things will things can and will change between now and tomorrow night and between tomorrow night and Thursday morning. So we're just going to hold off on this and wait till we have more confidence in a different scenario happening and then communicate it that way. Yeah, Fraser, that's the town. Thank you much. Any other questions, guys? Been about 25 minutes or so. Feel free to pop those in chat while you guys ask your questions. I'll go ahead and give some shout outs to our sponsors for the day. We have a couple of them I'll shout out. We got StormGuard, a roofing and construction based out of Detroit Metro. We got Lifestyle Exteriors based out of Lansing. Katz Roofing and Siding based out of Lansing as well. Got Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding based in the Thumb. McKay Tree Specialists based in Southeast Michigan. Kuiper Tree Care in West Michigan. On Top Roofing in Livingston County. FBI Buildings across much of Michigan. Schneider Commercial Building Solutions. They are also the spotlight sponsor today. For any commercial roofing or building needs across Michigan, feel free to give Schneider a call, 888-722-7027. We got Top Gun Roofing Exteriors, also based in West Michigan. We got Shield Public Adjusters across Michigan for insurance adjusting or claim help needs. A-Class Construction Restoration in Mason County. Rainbow Restoration in Kent County. Rapid Radios, our communication sponsor. And last but not least, our good old Skycam sponsor, also offering security audio video needs, Guardian Technologies based in Burton. Do you see these kinds of weather patterns going to be ordinary in the future? What do you mean by that, Marlene? We're in a pretty typical summer-like pattern already, so there's nothing unusual about what we're in currently. I can give a recap here. See a lot of questions here about areas and hazards. So, just a quick overview. Tonight, dry for the entire state. Sunrise tomorrow. That's when our first chance of rain moves in here. I'm going to switch this back to the HRRR. Give me a second to adjust this. Whoops. There we go. So first chance of rain comes right around that 5 a.m. time frame up there in the western UP. Those storms should not be severe, but they could contain heavy rain, some small hail, gusty winds, and maybe a lot of lightning. That will push east. It should die as it does so. And by about that noon time frame, we should be clearing out up there to allow us to destabilize the atmosphere for Wednesday. Now, the leftovers may push over here into the northwest part of lower Michigan. No severe weather is expected there, just rain showers as that arrives toward Manistee if that does hold together. Tomorrow afternoon, we have a round that pushes into the western UP, 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern time. That is what we're concerned about for severe weather. Damaging winds is your primary concern across much of the UP, and then large hail is not a concern right now, at least. There is a risk for a couple tornadoes up there, especially close to the Wisconsin border by Ironwood to Iron Mountain areas, but that risk extends over toward the eastern part of the UP in the green colored area, so we'll have to monitor that very closely tomorrow afternoon. That line will be moving through about 3 p.m. It should be done with severe weather by about 10 p.m. or so. After that, some scattered showers and storms possible for north and lower and the eastern part of the UP. That leads us into our risk on Thursday, which is uncertain at this time, but the entirety of the LP is in that dark green color, meaning we're in a low-end risk called a marginal risk for severe weather. Doesn't matter if you're in Detroit, Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Saginaw, doesn't matter where you're at. You're in a risk tomorrow, or in a risk Thursday in the LP for severe weather. That is your overview. Any storms tomorrow in the UP may contain, or will contain, not may, will contain heavy rain. And if we have numerous storms that go over the exact same areas, flash flooding is a concern tomorrow as well. That is your quick overview of what we're talking about. Also, can't forget Thursday afternoon, hot. Except if you're, I gotta slow down. Except if you're in the UP, you are going to be hot on Thursday. The UP is seeing 70s, while the LP is seeing heat indexes of around 100 to 105. So that's going to be a very hot one on Thursday. That's your recap.
Another thing I'll add too with Wednesday's risk, as Ryan kind of mentioned earlier on, the higher tornado risk is in northern Wisconsin, mainly just because any cells that do blow up and are discrete in nature, that rapidly increases your tornadic threat. Not saying you can't get tornadoes in a line of storms, as you know, we've had March 30 and May 15 where we had a line of storms and had spin up tornadoes. Now we're not expecting that many spin up tornadoes to happen, but the point being is there is a tornado threat, but the better tornado threat is just more northern Wisconsin, because that's when those cells are more likely to be discrete in nature. If we do have discrete cells in the UP, that then we'll have to be a little bit more concerned potentially of a slightly higher tornadic threat.
Thank you, Trisha, for the super chat. Appreciate your support. And I believe Red Dozer also sent one earlier. I didn't get a chance to read that, though. I have to go back and find that manually, but I think Red also sent one. So thank you, Red, for that super chat as well. Let me see if I can't pull that up real quick. Yeah, Red says, I think I might have to write Mother Nature a strongly worded letter. Things are crispy here. You didn't get rain, Red, if you're still watching. You didn't get rain the last couple days. We had some rain across your area over in West Michigan there for a few hours. So if you didn't get rain, I apologize. I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, West Michigan's still a little crispy out there.
We had rain last week. Was it Saturday or Friday? Drawing a blank. Saturday, I believe. Yeah, Saturday. And that was much needed rain. Obviously, 1 day of rain is it's not enough for a small drought, if you want to call it like that. So we'll take the rain as much as we can get. So
Red says no rain. That is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate.
Okay, yeah. It was Saturday then. Okay.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, we'll probably pop out of here pretty quick and get on with our evening. Let you get on your eating as well. So feel free. This is your last call for questions regarding next couple of days here in Michigan. Yep, Thursday is a risk across much of lower Michigan. All of lower Michigan, really. It is a low end risk currently. Would not be shocked that gets upgraded to a slight risk here in the future, but it's a big if because we have to get through tomorrow because how tomorrow plays out will directly impact how Thursday plays out. An educated guess would be similar pattern to how Wednesday looks. Damaging wind, primary concern, although I wouldn't rule out a tornado, but we're going to get through tomorrow before we start talking specifics and timing and hazards and all that. But educated guess would be damaging wind, primary concern. YOLO, we are always live for all warnings. Doesn't matter where it's at in Michigan. If there's a warning in Michigan, we're going to be live. So yes. The entirety of the UP tomorrow is in a risk. So whatever the population of the UP really is, plus tourists, that's going to be the population impacted. Well, I don't see any other questions popping in. Do you have anything else you want to add to this, Drew?
Not really. Once again, we'll be watching Wednesday closely here, and especially Thursday. I know many of you guys are wondering about Thursday. We're just not really going in depth just because we want to have more of a base of knowledge on just how it will play out. We could do obviously an in-depth analysis right now if we wanted to, but you can might as well throw that in the trash the next day because it could be completely different. So that's why we're doing it. We want to focus on Wednesday first, and then we'll get to Thursday eventually. So we're always watching the weather as always, and we'll give you guys updates when appropriate.
All right. I think that's a good note to end on. Look at chat one more time here. Thursday is my birthday. It's going to be bad. JC, where are you at in Michigan? Overall, yes, there is a risk for severe weather on Thursday. We just don't know who, where, and what just yet. Got a birthday party, son is up camping in Pentwater. So, Sue, I would say you're fine, or they're fine until perhaps some rain tomorrow morning. And again, probably a dry afternoon, and then perhaps some rain, some storms later on. But for tomorrow, the risk up there in Pentwater should be on the lower end of things. So you should be good up there. All right, that is going to be all I see. So we're going to pop out of here. You guys enjoy your evening. Expect an update on the forecast for the UP tomorrow, and also probably another briefing if we can fit it in. If there's no severe weather, we'll do a briefing at 7 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Wow, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening for how Thursday is looking. So be sure to tune back in tomorrow. I'm going to stop. Tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock for a briefing on Thursday. You guys take it easy. I'll catch you guys later. Pop Drew off the screen and myself. We're going to roll the outro. You guys have a safe night and enjoy yourselves.